When you were first told about this film, why were you willing to let your story be told in this way? Why did it matter that you allowed your life to be put on film in this way?
Well, this was, as you saw, a project by Carlos Santana, and he was like hell-bent that he wanted this story to be told. Okay, I wanted a different story. I wanted it to be more about the work, about the accomplishments that we were able to achieve through the community service organization work, the laws that we passed, like getting ballots in the Spanish language, getting driver's licenses in the Spanish language, being able to register voters door to door, which back in the 60s you couldn't do that till we changed those laws. Passing that big amnesty bill. Getting the right to organize, unemployment insurance for farm workers, which Reagan vetoed 3 times in a row after it passed the legislature. And the work that we're doing now in stopping the school-to-prison pipeline with my foundation, the Dolores Huerta Foundation. But no, Carlos wanted it to be about the farm workers and about the achievements of the union. But I think basically the story that it tells is about the power, right? The power of ordinary people and the things that we can do, not only to resist, but to change and to make sure that we have a better life for the poorest people of our society and, of course, for our communities. That's a long answer.
Dolores, you take as long as you want for every answer.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I think Carlos knew what he was doing, because in telling this story, you're able to tell so many stories. Tell us about the Dolores Huerta Foundation and what you hope to achieve.
Well, in our foundation, we kind of go back to that same grassroots organizing that Cesar and I used to form the Farm Workers Union. Many people don't realize, but when that strike in Delano broke out, we had actually been doing house meetings for 3 years in the homes of the farm workers, and giving them that confidence that they needed, that courage that they needed, that they could really change the situation, that they could make the growers negotiate with them. So it was that very painstaking work, talking to people in their homes, as I said, to let them know that they have power so that they would be able to stand up for themselves. And of course it worked. And we're using the same kind of process in the Dolores Huerta Foundation. So by building a base of people, community people, and the people that we work with, they are farm workers. They're people that work in hotels and construction. They're very poor people. But they have that power if they come together. And so we've been able to get a lot of infrastructure work done with people that have sidewalks and sewers in their neighborhoods, and lights. Many times they don't even have lights in their neighborhood, and being able to get that stop signs, getting them. One of our committees actually built a gymnasium. They went door to door and they got a gymnasium for their middle school built, and swimming pools, things that they don't have. And then being able to get themselves elected to office. 11 some of the people that you saw in that meeting in somebody's yard there, they are now sitting on school boards and water boards and recreation boards. So making them understand that, they may speak limited English, but they can demand translations in their meetings, and they can take power. And that's what it's all about. It's about making sure that we have progressive people that support us so that we can make the changes that we need to make in our communities.
So you were very clear with us about what Carlos wanted to achieve with the film. What would you like to achieve with the film as it comes out in wide release? What's the message you want the audience to take away?
Just that same message that as people see the film, hopefully that they will be inspired. We know that we're going to have a tough coming 4 years with the people that have been elected to office, and a lot of people, especially young people who have never lived through this before, they have a sense of despair and the sense of helplessness, and we'll tell them no. When you see the film and you saw the movements that were happening then, and we came out on top, because all of those organizations, like the environmental organizations, they're a lot stronger now than they were then. They were just beginning. The LGBT organizations, the women's groups, the civil rights organizations, the immigrants' rights organization. We have some strong institutional organizations now that went through all of the chaos of the 60s and the 70s and came out stronger. And you know what? These next 4 years, we're going to come out stronger. We're going to come out stronger.
Emilio, what was it like for you to have this story of your family told, especially the difficulty that the family went through with Dolores' passion for her work as you were growing up?
We're very honored, of course, to see my mother's story. I think, as my sister Juanita said in the film, that although my mother, like Caesar, were never seeking, the limelight. We're never wanting to sort of have the story be about them. And the story is really about working people, humble people coming together. And the movie is not so much a story about my mother, but a story about how my mother is just sort of the messenger. And so how people can come together, weaving movements together, different causes together. A lot of us have our favorite causes, labor law, be part of the labor movement, or feminism, or the environment. But I think this movie teaches us of the importance to be involved with the same level of commitment, 110%, in all of those things, because all of those aspects, all of those causes affect our lives on a daily basis. In fact, the lives of people around us, and many of whom don't have a voice or are not in a position, like undocumented immigrants, are not in a position to sort of raise those voices and out of fear or out of oppression. And so I think the movie is very important to us as a family, because we need to pass these lessons on to the next generation. And that's our hope as a family, that's what this movie does. And I want to also introduce my brother Vincent, that he wasn't introduced, and his wife Lydia. They're standing right here. And their daughter Jenny, my mother's granddaughter, and I think my sister Maria and her husband Rafa are in the audience too. But we're very honored as a family to have a documentary, because these are real life events. These things took place, and there were a lot of people that supported my mother along the way. I mean, her and Caesar and the farm workers, they couldn't do this by themselves, and they knew that, right? And so they shared their leadership. They taught people how to be leaders, and a lot of people supported that effort along the way. And it's like when people, I run into people, and I travel up and down the state, and people say, "Where does your mother get her energy?" She's 86, she's going to be 87 in a couple of weeks, And so I figured it out a few years ago. She comes to an audience like this, right? And, people who are just sharing their love and their compassion for my mother and what she's about. And then she kind of just gathers all that, and then she leaves the room, and she's ready to go, and we're like, wow, what just happened, But, there are many people, even in this community, the community of San Diego, that throughout the years supported my mother. Carlos and Linda Legrete, the Vara family, Bill Encinas, my buddy, who grew up with us, and his family. I think in the early 70s, his father was a teacher in San Jose and gave up his job and moved his family, 4 brothers and sisters, brothers, and came again to work for $5 a week. Daniel Hernandez from Imperial Valley. Again, these are all people that, when Caesar, my mother, called to them and say, "Hey, we're here at the frontera, at the border, to stop scabs. We're here to organize in Imperial Valley. We're here to, I need you to jump on a bus at 3 o'clock in the morning and go to San Francisco to picket." Without hesitation, these people stepped, and many of you stepped up. And so as a family, we want to thank you for that support.
Yes, and I know that many of you in this audience were supporters of the Farm Workers Union here in San Diego. I could tell that you already knew the story, right? And I also want to thank you very much, because with all of that support, it never would have happened, And I think that was like one of the things I think that really saved us when we went out there to the cities and to the boycotts and asked people to support, not to eat grapes and to man those picket lines. That is what really made it happen. And I don't know if he's here today, but one of our $5 a week attorneys was Frank Dennison, who is a member of this community also, and he volunteered, coming from a wealthy family, and he came and again worked for $5 a week, as many of the other people did. And one thing I just want to add that Carlos and Linda worked very closely with Cesar, and Linda was in charge of the garbage detail, making sure that everybody, all these, because everybody in the union. One of the things that's missing in the movie is that all of the kids in the movement had to work. Even if, so Linda was in charge of the maintenance, and so Emilio, who is now an attorney and a candidate for Congress, I might add, okay? But he and Paul Chow, where's Linda at? Okay, way in the top over there, Linda, we love you. Anyway, so their job as 16-year-olds that they had to pick up the garbage at La Paz, okay? That was their job. They had to pick up the garbage at La Paz, and they got their $5 a week just like everybody else did. So, and that was one of the things about the movement, is that all of the children in the movement had to have a job. They all had to work. And my daughter, by the way, for all the mothers out there that felt the pain of my children crying, my daughter Camila, who was the biggest crybaby in the movie, when she went to college, she called me from her dorm, and she was whispering, "Mom, you're not going to believe this. Some of the girls here are crying for their mothers." I reminded her of that after this movie came out. And Camila is now the executive director of my foundation, and we do have some brochures about the foundation that we will pass out. So if you want to know more about the work that we're doing, we're in 7 different communities right now in the Central Valley of California. As you know, things are very, very bad there. When you talk about Bakersfield, California, it's like talking about Alabama, okay? Because the racism is so strong there. Our Bakersfield law enforcement have killed more people, the police and the sheriffs, than any other city in the United States of America. And the majority of them have been people of color. They have suspended and expelled over 2,000 kids in a 2-year period. And I don't have to tell you, they are black and they're brown and poor white. And so we're fighting that racist system that we have right now. We've filed several lawsuits against the Board of Supervisors, against the Kern High School District. And so we're working hard. But the way that we're doing it is we're organizing the parents, okay? We're going out there and organizing the parents. So they are the ones that have to get in there and fight the school districts and the law enforcement people and kind of dismantle the systems of oppression, and doing the voter registration, the voter education work that we need to make sure that we get progressive people elected. And so they themselves, the people in the community, can take those positions of power. And so we're hoping with the film that other people will be inspired to do the same. To get out there and to organize themselves, okay, and to, again, to realize that they have the power to change it. And we know we had a victory on Friday, right?
Yes.
We had a big victory on Friday at the national level when they were trying to bring down Obamacare, but they couldn't. They had to give up, and they know that they say that they were defeated. But we know that they're going to keep on trying, so we've got to be very alert, and we've all got to remain very active.
The struggle continues. Si se puede. We have time for 1 or 2 questions for the audience. Would you raise your hand if you have a question?
Thank you. I really, really admire you. I didn't know about you, but I'm not from Mexico. I'm from South America. But at the time when they were doing the boycotts on the grapes, I lived in Panama, and my mother refused to buy grapes. This film should be shown in all the schools. It should be shown on PBS because people should be aware of what the farm workers go through, especially with the environment, political environment right now, that the supposed person from this country, from the United States, that they call themselves Americans. And American is anybody that was born from the Patagonia all the way up to Alaska. this film should be shown everywhere in the United States and in the world to show respect.
And I think actually PBS is actually the one that is distributing the film, and it's going to be shown in theaters starting in September. And then after that, we can. After that, we will be able to show it in all the schools, community centers, libraries, screenings that people might want to have. One of the good things about going with PBS is that they're going to let us actually be able to have the film and show it. And so one of the things that you can do for us is to tweet it out, to kind of create the buzz for the film so that Carlos can get his money back, okay? And it's really easy. Just do hashtag Dolores the film. Yeah, I said that wrong. Hashtag Dolores the movie. Hashtag Dolores the movie. And if you can put it on your Twitter, on your Facebook, your emails, and just ask people to tweet it out there so that people can see it. And if people want to learn more about the work of our foundation, because we also have a youth group, we have an LGBT part of our organization to kind of educate our community about the importance of human rights, right? For women's rights of reproductive rights for women, and also for people in our LGBT community, because we know we still have a lot of homophobia out there that we have to fight. So our website is really easy. It's DoloresHuerta.org. DoloresHuerta.org, and you can go on our website and see the different things that we're doing, the different activities that we're engaged in.
Thank you, Dolores. You are all here because we absolutely wanted you to be the first to see this film, and we will remind you throughout the summer that the film is going to be in wide release in the fall, and you'll be invited again to join us, as well as to bring all of your friends. We have a question in the back. You're going to have to speak up for us, please.
First of all, I wanted to say thank you. My mother was a farm worker in Oxnard, and to see this video was very touching for me. And she also received amnesty. And so I wanted to let you know that your work is still affecting a lot of us. I also wanted to let you know that growing up, she always pointed to you as an inspiration. And I am now an attorney, and so I wanted to is that I know that a lot of women of color face a lot of barriers in a professional setting, especially as an attorney. So I wanted to know, what advice do you have for us in the private sector on how we can advance women of color to reach status of either in the board or shareholders or any of these positions that really have an influence in impacting the rest of the community?
Well, I think one of the things that you have to do is if you're like a woman in an organization that's all male, sort of try to partner up with other women's organizations outside of your work, so that the people at your work site know that you also belong to the National Organization for Women, or the Feminist Majority, Latina Leaders, Latina Bar Association, whatever, so they know they're not just dealing with you, they're dealing with a lot of other women, okay, at the same time. And also, just check people. And I know it's hard to do because, as I said, a film is hard for we as women because we don't like to create conflict. But sometimes you have to create conflict. And Gandhi says, if you don't create conflict, then you don't make any changes. And so you have to think of subtle ways that you can let people know when they're coming out with the racist remarks, the racist remarks or sexist remarks, let them know, because you're actually educating them. But you have to do it always with love in your heart, okay? And not to get angry at people. I mean, you can get angry, but don't show it, okay? Don't show it, and do it with love and with patience, because we have to constantly educate people because they don't know our story. They don't know the Latino story. They don't know what people have suffered in this country and continue to suffer. But just do it with love and think of it in a nonviolent way. And then organize people in your own organization so that you're not there by yourself, that you have an ally or more. And make it a buddy system, okay? More than one person. Okay, thank you.
Yes, over here. Yeah, that's you.
I'm really grateful, Dolores. for everything you've done. My dad took, I think, a year or two to help out for the cause. And I went to the amnesty. My whole family went. I helped in the strawberry field. That's it. So I was with everybody. And I just need to take a picture with you. Like my dad, he was born in 1920, came through the Bracero program, and he came to Dennison to work, and then he told my mom, I'm going to help out, and he came helping out from the Imperial Valley, and then he helped, and I think he moved to Delano and Santa Maria, and he walked everybody.
Thank you for that. And by the way, we're going to see that Bracero program happen again, because one of the reasons that they're doing these deportations, and when we live out there in the Central Valley, they are deporting a lot of the farm workers who are undocumented. After they bring them in, now they're sending them back, okay? Because they want to bring them back in as contract workers and as braceros. And we know that that's going to really enslave them because they really are not free to negotiate their wages. They're not covered by unemployment, Social Security. And so this is something that we have to be aware of and we have to be ready. And then also to continue, we're trying to get a sanctuary state in California. So please, one of the things we want people to do is always think of, if we don't take action, it's pura plática, it's just talk, okay? So we all, each and every one of us, we have it within our power to take action. And right now, they're trying to pass a bill in Sacramento to make California a sanctuary state. Okay, a sanctuary state. Now, it's kind of just a policy, you might say, but it does impact law enforcement so that they just can't turn people over to ICE, to the Migra, when they have a misdemeanor violation. So it's a very, very important bill. And some of our senators, even Latino senators, I'm going to call one of them out, Tony Mendoza, okay, are hesitating about voting for the bill. So please contact your state senator and tell them to vote for sanctuary state, for the sanctuary state of California. That bill is coming up right now, probably next week. The vote is going to go. So email them, pick up the telephone and call them, or go down to their district offices and tell them to please vote. Also, Connie Leyva should be okay, but just kind of to remind them, we need to do this for our undocumented people in this country because they're the ones that are doing the hard work to keep our country together. So we need to step up.
Thank you, Dolores. We have another film that's going to come into this room, so I want to apologize. I know you could spend all day with Dolores. You do what you need to do and want to do, the kind of community and civic action that you would like to take, as Amelia said earlier. The San Diego Foundation thanks you. And number one, Dolores Huerta, the film, on your Facebook and on Twitter. Dolores the movie. Sorry, Dolores the movie. Thank you all so very much for being with us.